welcome back to Truth or Fiction, where I read it for you, where I'll read you guys an Am I that asshole, and you guys will say whether or not this person is or isn't, but more importantly, if you think these stories are truth or fiction. Let's get started with the first one. Am I that asshole for repeatedly calling someone stupid after they accuse me of lying about my children's ethnicity? My husband is Dominican and I'm Irish. Our kids look like him in terms of facial features and they inherited my pale skin. Our son has his father's dark hair and my daughter is borderline dark blonde. Genes are weird. What are you gonna do? Both my kids and myself have my husband's last name, which is a popular Dominican last name. There have been a time where we get looks when people hear our last name and my husband isn't around, but it's never been too bad and usually I shrug it off. Due to my husband's work schedule, he's rarely at school events. So most people just know me. There's another little girl in our daughter's class with the same last name as us. Her mom also volunteers often. When we met, she flat out said, "You're not Dominican." I said, "No, my husband and kids are." She said, "But your last name is X." I said, "Yeah, because it's my husband's." She pointed out how pale they are. I just said genes are weird. This woman's irking my nerves already. But almost every time we see each other, she brings it up somehow, making comments about how pale the kids are. Finding it weird they don't know Spanish. My husband didn't learn growing up, so they don't know it either. I just let it roll off because while it's weird, I'm not about to get into a pissing contest. The teacher asked the kids to make a collage about their culture. My daughter had stuff related to being a Dominican and stuff related to being Irish. They had a whole culture day where parents were invited. The mom of the other little girl saw my daughter's collage and rolled her eyes. Thankfully, not in front of my daughter. There were no other kids around at the time as they were getting food. It was just parents looking at the collage. I asked what her problem is. She said, "I'm not a real Dominican." I said, "I never claimed to be." She said, "My kids aren't either, and that my husband is probably only a little Dominican and we're claiming a culture that isn't ours." I was dumbfounded. All I could ask was, "Are you stupid?" Gosh, you went in. She said there was no need to be defensive. Finally, I had enough, pulled out my phone, and showed her pictures of myself with my husband and kids. She stared at it for a moment and mumbled an apology. I said, "Yeah, maybe research how genes work so you don't make yourself look stupid in front of a bunch of third graders." She got teary-eyed and walked away. I got the stink eye from the other parents, which I ignored. When I told my husband later, he said calling her stupid repeatedly when she already apologized was an asshole move. Am I the asshole? Girl, please. Absolutely not. As someone who has been called my daughter's nanny several times by even people who have known me for a while, because of our difference in complexion, it drives me crazy. Drives me crazy. I just feel like sometimes if I tell you something, take it at face value. This mom has repeatedly said that the children are Dominican. My last name is Dominican because I married a Dominican. Why are you on my back? No, girl, you are not the asshole. I don't believe that at all. What do you guys think? And do I think the story is real? I actually think there's truth to this story. The only thing I will point out is that she said that her husband said that to stop. She made a comment that my husband later told me. He said calling her stupid repeatedly, when she already apologized was an asshole move. OP only seemed like she called her stupid twice, but I think she went ham, which is probably why the other moms were looking at her sideways because she probably like, "Are you stupid? Are you stupid? How many times do I have to tell you that look at the picture? Are you stupid?" So I think she went in on her, which I am here for, and I do not think you're the asshole. What do you guys think? Now, let's go to the next story. Oh, am I the asshole for telling my husband he should have just married a white woman? Gosh. For context, I'm a black woman and my husband is white. Oh, okay. That's how we're going to start. I have 4C hair and I wrap my hair in a satin scarf to go to bed. For those of you who don't know what this means, basically my hair curl pattern is a really tight coil, so my hair texture is kinky and easily tangled and easily breakable if not taken care of as well. I have the same hair texture, so I completely understand. I used to sleep on a satin pillowcase when my hair was shorter and I had a lower chance of tangling while I tossed and turned in my sleep. But recently I added oils to my nightly routine, and since my hair is a bit past my shoulder now, the chances of it tangling are higher and I don't want my pillowcases to get soaked with oils, so I started wrapping my hair up again. First night I wore it, my husband said that I look like a slave. Oh shit. I completely stopped. I'm reading these for the first time. So like my reactions are oh, maybe I should pre-read these before I read it to you guys. Whew, that caught me off guard. Which okay, was a little bit funny but a little bit true in my scarf and nightgown combo, so I let him have that one. Good girl, you let that roll off your shoulder. But since then, it's the little comments when I get into bed, like, are we doing the slave tonight? Or should I help you into bed, Grandma? Little things like that. I think it's because you let it slide the first time that he felt like he was comfortable enough to say it again. Just giving you that one. Little things like that. I explain why I do it, and I think he understands that, but he simply doesn't like it, and my hope was that he'd get used to it by now. Last night, I was getting ready for bed, and I couldn't find my scarf anywhere, so I asked dear husband if he'd seen it, and he admitted that he hid it and wouldn't tell me where. He wouldn't stop joking around even when I got visibly upset and said he wished he could run his fingers through my hair or something along those lines. I snapped and said if he wanted that, he should have married a white woman. He got really quiet after that and told me where he hid it. We haven't talked much about it, but there's this air of awkwardness. The only times he mentions it was this morning when he said that we should look into counseling for our race issues. And that I made him feel really racist, and I didn't think about it that way. I thought he was upset because I yelled at him, but I didn't think it was a statement itself. Granted, I probably should not have brought race into it. But sweetie, he brought race into it a couple of nights ago when you started this, when he said, okay, I'm going to leave that alone. Now he's suggesting couples counseling to get through our race issues. I don't think it was that serious, and I don't want to go through all of that. Am I the asshole? Sweetie, you're not the asshole at all. I honestly am only going to come from a biased place because I am black, that I am triggered by how your husband handled this from the slave comment. If he called you grandma, that's a different thing, but he brought up race first. You didn't do that. I think he needs the counseling, and maybe you should go with him because obviously he needs to. And I would bring it up like the moment you wore your hair bonnet to go to sleep, he mentioned, are we doing the slave tonight? Like, that's not a race thing that came from you. That came from him. And honestly, I would be very, 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 very uncomfortable. What do you guys think? And do you think this story is true? I think it's 100% true. And I think that this couple needs a lot of therapy. And I don't know, maybe he thought it was a joke and he felt like because she kikied with him and they laughed that he can continue it. I don't think he knew that it was something that she was going to take seriously. I also think that these are conversations that interracial couples need to have in the beginning of their relationship before they get married about some of the differences in their culture and in their backgrounds. You know, as a black person, things that are different that he may not be used to. As a white person, things that different about you that she may not be used to, so that you guys are not getting counseling. If anything, maybe premarital counseling for interracial couples. Because what happens when she has kids and they have to deal with the hair? That's going to be a big issue. Well, what do you guys think? Am I the asshole for getting upset with my husband after he told me nothing will change while I am pregnant? Okay. Throwaway account. So me, 26 female, and my husband, 28 male, who I'll call Jake for this story, have been together for 5 years and married for 3. We have recently started trying to have a baby as we both felt like this was the next step in our life together. And 3 weeks ago, I got a positive test back. Congratulations, love. We were really, really happy and told our families. And now my mom and mother in law want to throw a big baby shower for us. It was just super good news all around. Well, 2 nights ago, me and Jake were getting ready for bed when he reminds me to go through the house and make sure all the lights are turned off. Now, he can be a little lazy at times, and it has become a nightly routine for me to make sure all the lights are off that he leaves on before we go to bed. This would drive me crazy. This is something that my husband does before we go to bed. And that's because I just fall asleep naturally and I can fall asleep anywhere. But this would drive me crazy because I don't know. I'm not going to assign gender roles, but I kind of think it's one of those things that a lot of men do before they go to bed. But again, we're not assigning gender roles. I wasn't feeling very well and asked if he can just do it since it wasn't doing anything. I wasn't feeling well, so I asked him if he can just do it since he wasn't doing anything and was literally standing by the door. He then tells me, no, this is what is expected of you every night. I was a little hurt and I didn't want to fight with him, so I just did it. When I came back, Jack goes on this very long and unprovoked rant saying things like, just because you're pregnant does not mean anything will change, and you are still expected to cook, clean, and do all the other chores every day because how can you be expected to be a mother if you can't handle a little work? He wasn't yelling or anything. He was just talking to me quietly like I was 2 inches tall. Whoa, baby girl, this is a couple of weeks into the pregnancy? Like at this point, you're only about 8 weeks pregnant. Well, because I was shocked because I have never heard him say anything like this. The rant went on for about 30 minutes before I interjected and asked, well, what do you plan on doing to help me with all of this? He then got extremely defensive by saying he works his tail off at his job to provide for me and what is going to be our future children. For context, I don't work ATM. My job was not paying enough to justify me going, so I'm a full-time college student. He ended by saying that it doesn't matter how I feel physically or mentally. It is a mother's job to push through. And if he helped and babied me, I wouldn't be a good mother. Girl, the red flags that are just coming out all over the place. I'm going to need you to. I got extremely upset and started yelling, and I said, I wish I would have known this is how you felt before I got pregnant with your baby. There was a moment of silence before he started crying, and he left for the night to stay at his mother's house. I don't know who's the baby in this relationship. And if anything, sweetie, I think you've been babying him because, anyway, let's continue. He hasn't been back yet, and my mother-in-law and sister-in-law have called me berating me and saying I broke Jake's heart with what I said and I needed to apologize immediately. I don't think Jake told them the whole story. I'm pretty sure Jake didn't tell them what he really said, especially as two women. Maybe he did. I don't know. I don't know. Until I do, he isn't coming home. I don't know how to feel. So am I the asshole for yelling at my husband after he said he isn't helping me with anything during the pregnancy because it's a mother's job to deal with it? Absolutely not. I do not think you're the asshole at all. And honestly, this conversation is so divorceable to me because it is not going to get better. Your relationship with this man is not going to get better. This is every, I don't know about you, but this would give me so much pause. And where you are on the pro-choice, pro-life would come into play after this conversation, because I'm not going to be with a man that thinks I'm going to do everything to raise our child, and that because you only bring in the money, that is your only job. Because there's a lot of men out here who put I'm pregnant now and I'm sick as a dog, right? I only have these minutes of joy shooting these videos, but other than that, I am in bed sick, and I work, but my husband makes sure I fed. He makes sure my daughter's taken. He makes sure I'm okay. He's taking care of me. He comes in and checks in on me between the videos just to make sure I'm okay. The whole idea that you think that nothing changes when I'm carrying your child that is breaking my body down is wild to me. What do you guys think? Because I think this is screaming red, 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 red flags. It's bleeding red flags. Edit. First, I want to thank you all for your response. I'm sorry I haven't really responded to anyone specifically, but I really do appreciate you guys. A few of you asked if I told my mother-in-law and sister-in-law what he said, which I did. They basically said that I was being sensitive. I'm tired of people telling women that they're sensitive while they're being pregnant. I'm growing a whole human. I'm more than sensitive. But his words were real. And all he meant was pregnancy isn't an excuse to be lazy. He meant no harm. Okay, guys. I am getting some things together and I'm going to be headed to my mom and dad's house. Good girl. My mom is furious with him and doesn't want me apologizing to him. Go, mama. Go apologizing to him without the situation either being recorded or having a witness. Regardless, I am okay and I will be okay. I do appreciate all of you though. You have opened my eyes to many things and may have ignored and looking past over the years. Yeah, because this is divorceable. I'm sorry. Like this, I'm just sad. Again, I need my couples to have some conversations in the beginning. And this, you know what's so funny? I don't think this is a conversation you would have had until you're in that moment. Because who would have known that the moment she got pregnant, he would have decided, hey, now that you're pregnant, you still have to do all these things. That's not a conversation I've ever had with my husband before I got pregnant. I know it's not supposed to be assumed that you'll be helpful, but this is it's kind of assumed that the husband would help their wives. I know so many amazing men that help their wives while they're pregnant. So to me, you're not the asshole. He's a giant a-hole. And honestly, I hope you and your baby are doing the best. The great thing is that this post was from 3 years ago, but I'm praying that you're doing well and that he came to his senses or you left him, because this is divorceable. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, who you think is or isn't an a-hole, what your comments are. And of course, if you think some of these stories are real. I forgot to mention with the last story, I totally think it's a real story, because there's just those special men who don't get it, but they eventually will learn, unfortunately. So thank you anyway, and see you next time on Truth or Fiction. I read it for you.